with the Chiefs at Buffalo. Mahomes, very efficient day, 17 of 23, 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. And guys, when they needed him most, Travis Kelce stepped up in a big, big way in this game.
He did. Give credit where credit's due. I mean, honestly, it was a blown coverage on the first touchdown, and on the second touchdown, give the guy credit. He got 3 yards, he got to the edge, he got to the corner, and he made a tough play into the end zone. He makes the heart to Taylor in the corner. God bless.
I thought that was to Jason.
Yeah.
It might have been. By the way, and rightfully so, because Jason's a legend. They both are. He's got a couple legends in his corner. Jason's a legend. There he is right there. For those who are watching on Peacock or YouTube, there he is. Taylor, also a legend as well. Marquez Valdez-Scantling caught 2 balls. I just want to reference that.
One was a beauty.
Yeah,
right.
He actually made
tight coverage, Rasul Douglas.
Right, you kind of had to go, wait, is that MBS?
Yeah,
when he came up with the ball?
Tirico back?
Yeah. Disappointing game for Rashee Rice just because if you bet the over on his prop, he did not hit it, but 4 for 47, caught everything that went his way. It was just, they had the big play to Kelce. They just didn't need it. They were running the ball so effectively, and that's the key. I will, just to spin this forward for a second, I thought, obviously, great game for Travis Kelce. But, if he comes back next year, and I don't think it's a given that he's coming back next year, I feel like, and I love Travis Kelce. I'm in, I have 3 different main dynasty leagues that I truly care about, and I have Kelce on all of them. So I love Travis Kelce, but I think I'm out on him next year for redraft. Unless you're getting him super cheap. If he even comes back. I feel like there's a chance he doesn't.
Yeah, I thought it was telling, and they talked about this a bit on the broadcast, about how he's looked so much more spry and athletic these past 2 weeks. He just looks better, he looks faster. Yeah. And I wonder if next year is when he goes on the Gronk, or if we're using NBA analogies again, like the Andre Iguodala thing, where he just kind of takes the regular sit, they just manage him through it, and then he's just full go for
He's
the
just playing
playoffs.
20 snaps a game,
yeah,
high leverage snaps, red zone snaps, that kind of thing.
And then he's Travis Kelce again in the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, he would look fantastic. I think Rashee Rice, he's so banged up in this game. He's just constantly limping around. So hopefully he's okay for next week. But I think that would explain why. And the other thing, too, is that, Mahomes only had 23 pass attempts. And when you're watching the first half, it kind of felt like, oh, the Bills should be winning this by more. But you only felt that way because they were just constantly on the field. The Chiefs ended the game with 7.7 yards per play. That's insane. The Bills were 4.7. The better team won this game despite how close the Bills were in the end.
Yeah, it seemed like, wasn't there, I don't think I think there was only one drive they didn't score on.
Yeah,
Chiefs.
They kneeled at the end of the first half, and then they punted in the fourth quarter, where the Bills did get 1 stop, and then they drove down and the missed field goal.
They got 2 stops. That penalty was a little BS on 42,
That's true. And Hardman obviously fumbled out.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah, we will go there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, let's just I feel bad for the Bills. For a variety of reasons, right? We love Buffalo. Obviously, I'm a big Josh Allen fan. I'm in business with Josh Allen. He's a proud fantasy life investor. So, love the Bills, love Josh Allen. And so much of the conversation in the offseason will be about, Josh Allen, a couple of missed throws, obviously the missed kick from Tyler Bass, and we're going to get to the Bills in a second. But, the defense, which was so beat up, that's the thing. I don't feel like anyone's talking about how beat up the Bills' defense was. And obviously, Mahomes and the offense did what they wanted to in this game.
There was a point, Connor, when A.J. Klein got hurt and came out for a play. I was like, oh, no. They've lost A.J. Klein. What's going to happen?
Right.
This guy wasn't in the NFL 2 weeks ago. Now he's their signal caller on defense, and they're really going to miss his absence. It just felt like Rasul Douglas, he wasn't right.
He did not. He looked 30% healthy in this game. He was such a great acquisition for that team.
I think with the Bills, I thought Allen played quarterback, particularly the first 3 quarters, about as well as it can possibly be played. The third down touchdown, from 13 out, just his running ability. It just seemed like it was like Derrick Henry if he could throw like Joe Burrow. It was completely insane. And then, yes, he has a couple of misses at the end. He has the fumble, which no one's going to talk about, but that could have cost them the game.
Should have.
Because it felt like that was minus 1,000 to be recovered by the Chiefs in real time because they had all the bodies around it. But Allen was magnificent, and we're talking about him and this team a lot differently if Stephon Diggs can just come down with that 60-yard
That's
bomb.
the thing. I mean, lots to unpack there on the Bills side of the ball, which is, first off, you're right. Not only Stephon Diggs needs to come down with that ball. There was also a long pass to Deontay Hardy. Was it a Sherfield or Hardy that I'm thinking of that hit the ground and it rolled around a little bit? Was it Sherfield? Oh, maybe it was Sherfield. Sorry, so Sherfield, right, that's one that needs to come down with as well. Neither of those guys hit it. The Diggs one is particularly concerning. We'll get into Diggs here in a minute. But you're right. On that final drive, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to. Around the 50-yard line, Josh Allen has a fumble that the Bills have no business recovering.
No.
There's like a zillion different Chiefs. Yeah. Somehow comes out of nowhere and comes up with it. And then, of course, later in that drive is ultimately the missed field goal. But, yeah, I mean, there's that. And then there's also on that last drive for Josh Allen, it was super weird because I don't know if this was the play call or the design, but, like, the idea was they were and they talked about this in the broadcast. But, like, they're driving down and there's, like, 3.5, 4 minutes left or whatever. Like, and the idea is like, hey, they're grinding out this drive. They're going to leave no time for Patrick Mahomes. Like, they know from, like, 2 years ago, like, 12 seconds is too much. 13 seconds is too much for Patrick Mahomes. Like, you need to literally, like, score on the last play of the game, in essence. And so they're there, and it's that 3rd and 7, and they have a couple guys in the flat. Just get the first down. Instead, they go to the end zone. He does have Shakir open, and that's a throw that Josh Allen normally makes, and that's a touchdown. But that's still, even if they score, that's a minute 47 left for the Chiefs with some timeouts. Like, I believe that's the correct time.
That was where it was. And here's the thing. Here's why I think this is the difference between Mahomes and Allen. I think Mahomes he's just the smarter quarterback, and he just understands game situation a lot more. Like, if it's ever like 4th and 17, Mahomes always throws it at least 17 yards in the air. Just like little things like that. And on this play, like, he's got Diggs wide open in the shallow cross, and that's going to be a first down. And I think the problem there is that, yes, Allen is going for the home run ball because he's a home run hitter, and he gets knocked off and maybe he can complete the throw. But to your point, Matthew, with the way that they were playing with the clock, I think it was more valuable to get a first down there than score a touchdown.
Correct.
Because if you score the touchdown, then Mahomes has got all that time, and they haven't been able to stop him at all. If you get the first down, then you can do what Shane Steichen was trying to do against the Texans, where you just run it down to basically 0, and which would have ended the game more or less. So it was
hopefully, or at least given Tyler Bassett a shorter field goal than 41 yards as well. And it also would have given James Cook a couple of more rushing attempts as well. This is unbelievable. This is so brutal. This is so brutal. Okay, so James Cook's rushing prop on DraftKings was 61.5. Okay, I took the over. Not to make this all about me, but I'm going to take a moment here to make it about me. I had a 4-leg parlay. I had Khalil Shakir over on the receiving yards. That cashed. I had Josh Allen over on the rushing yards. That cashed. I had Stephon Diggs under on the receiving yards. That cashed. And I had over on James Cook, 61.5 rushing yards. That cashed. Or it had at the start of the 4th quarter when James Cook had 67 rushing yards entering the 4th quarter. But then pull up this tweet by Sam Hoppin here, Stephen, if you don't mind. My friend Sam Hoppin. This is what he tweeted out. James Cook's rushing yards line was 61.5 yards. He had 67 rushing yards entering the 4th quarter. His final 4 carries went for -4 yards, -3 yards, 0 yards, 1 yard. Final count, 61 yards. You get gotten by the hook. The under cashes. My parlay does not cash. I'm a bitter berry, Jay Croucher.
You know what the worst part of this is, and you may not even know this, but so he was initially at 62, and then there was a stat correction that took him down to 61. So on top of all of that, and with all of that, he still went over. And then there was a stat correction after the fact that took him down to 61. That's about as bad as it gets. There's a Rashad White one too, which we'll talk about, where he was basically over at half and then goes under, which seems impossible. But that was a tough one for
that was a brutal bad beat. And it also, by the way, it affected that final drive. I mean, they just couldn't block the Chiefs' defensive line. Betting aside for a second, they had run the ball so effectively for the first 3 quarters, and then they just couldn't. They turned into a one-dimensional offense in that 4th quarter, in that final drive, and obviously they still had a shot. But you would have liked to have seen that. Couple other takeaways here for me from the Bills, and then I want to circle back on the Chiefs because there's one last one I want to make on Kansas City, but. I'm super nervous. So, in one of my dynasty leagues, I had a shot at the title. And so and there's one team in my league that's just a juggernaut, and they're a juggernaut because there's one team in my league that's super dumb, and this juggernaut team is just completely ripped off the dumb team. Oh, no. And I'm not going to say any names because they're all people in the fantasy industry, and I don't want to
you can
start.
I'll
tell you guys off the air.
They're a feeder team. A lot of people accuse the Oakland Athletics of being that.
Yeah, I
in
mean,
baseball for the Braves.
Yeah, I mean, like producer
Damien's
Damien's in this league with me, and he agrees with me. But I don't want to start anything, but anyway, there's like. I really thought the guy that the juggernaut team ended up winning the title, and I thought that the trophy should literally say this person's name and the feeder team's name because it's just literally they've combined for a super team. Point of the whole story is that I had a very good team, Cup, McCaffrey, et cetera, but ultimately I felt like I needed a little edge, and so at the trade deadline I traded my first round pick next year for Stephon Diggs. That did not work out well. No. He was brutal down the stretch for me. I do have Stephon Diggs. I don't have my first round pick next year. It's still a very good young team, but and I'll have a full season of Kyler Murray and the whole thing. But I'm nervous, guys, about Stephon Diggs in my dynasty league, and I'm not sure where to rank him. 3 of his final 5 games, he had under 30 receiving yards. With Joe Brady as the interim offensive coordinator, and I assume Joe Brady's coming back and will get that title full time, he had under 80 receiving yards in 8 of 9 games. And in a game in which they needed him the most, regular postseason, his fewest receiving yards in a game. Now, I took the under of this because I thought L'Jarius Sneed was going to shut him down, and the Chiefs have done a very good job at perimeter wide receivers, and Diggs has been bad. And I thought that 61.5, I think that was his line, was just way too high. But, what do you think about Diggs next year?
It's funny because watching that game, and everyone's going to focus on the Bills' defense needing to be improved. Bills' defense lost all its players, like Milano, Trey White, these guys. The defense will be fine, I think, enough next year. What this team needs is a number 1 wide receiver because they don't have it at the moment. The way Diggs played, not just the second half of the season, it started before then. He is not a number 1 receiver in this iteration unless he was really hurt and just played through something the whole year, because that's what they need. And the difference in this game was that, again, Mahomes it's 7.7 yards per play, and for the Bills it's 4.7 because they had no explosives. There was no 20-yard play for Josh Allen in this game through the air or on his legs. It was just all running, short stuff, and that's why they lost, because they couldn't score as quickly as the Chiefs.
Not having Gabe Davis obviously hurt, and they got really nice performances. Kincaid played well, James Cook played well. There's some nice pieces there, but to your point, that's just when you're Stephon Diggs and you're paid what you're paid, that's a catch you got to make.
Yep.
I get it. It was good coverage, but that's a catch you got to make.
I mean, the ball's right there. 62 yards.
Yeah.
Air
that
yards.
That throw was a movie. That was magnificent.
It'll probably be the best throw of this entire playoff.
Yeah.
And it wasn't completed.
Yeah.
I mean, you factor in it's in Buffalo. It is still windy and cold there, and that ball just rips through everything right in his lap.
Had the beauty on the left sideline to Sherfield as well, which comes off his hands body too. So tough night for Josh Allen. He really couldn't have done much more. And I mean, everyone talks about this Joe Brady offense, about how they're running the ball more and there's more balance, and they completely destroyed Dallas, and Allen only had to complete 7 passes in that game. At the same time, it's like you're going up against Patrick Mahomes. Stop giving it to James Cook, despite your rushing prop. Stop giving it to him and just now is the time to let Josh put his cape on. Stop. Why'd you lock the cape away? This is when you need it. And it was disappointing that, again, with the season on the line, Josh Allen has 186 passing yards. They should have given him the ball more.
And we heard his frustration after the game. So let's take a listen to that after a great performance from Josh Allen that came up short.
Sucks. Losing sucks. Losing to them, losing to anybody. At home, sucks. Here, there, it doesn't matter. We just, losing sucks. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, I don't think it's a big change. I think it's just, again, we gotta find a way to score 1 more point than they do. And every season, if you don't win, it's a failed season. That's the nature of the business. There's one happy team at the end of the season, really, and when it's not you, when you're so close, it sucks.
It really does suck. I feel bad for Josh Allen. I feel bad for Bills fans, Bills Mafia. It's a great city. It's a great fan base. One of my favorite nights ever. Magical night in Buffalo with Jay Croucher.
Yes,
always a memory. Incredible. There are some bright spots, obviously, to your point, Josh Allen played very well. I'm with you on the defense. Khalil Shakir, they found something this year in James Cook and Dalton Kincaid. Both guys have emerged this year, and they may have found something in Khalil Shakir, who last year had flashes, Connor, but, finished with double-digit fantasy points each of his final 3 games. They were looking for him. He made plays. He's fast and seems to have expanded his route tree significantly.
And he makes tough catches, right? It felt like this is an offense that really needs somebody that can make the tough catch. I mean, we've seen Diggs have uncharacteristic drops this season. Now they've added 2 guys between him and Kincaid that are very reliable for a quarterback that when he runs around like a maniac, you're looking for somebody that's reliable. That's what he's become.
He was their best wide receiver down the stretch, and he was the guy. Right. And they really, really miss Gabe Davis today, and that's a problem. Like, if you miss Gabe Davis that much,
he's a free agent now.
Listen, and Khalil Shakir should not be your best player. No. I mean, again, nice player, really nice story. I think there's some interesting upside. He'll be a fantasy sleeper next year, but he should not be, the number 2 seed in the AFC's best player.
Yep.
On passing game, I should say. I should say as well. The last thing I want to say on the Chiefs, we got some time. We got 4 games. Where are you going? Was just we didn't really talk about Isaiah Pacheco at all, so I just want to sort of circle back there. Just really impressive with Pacheco, who, including the playoffs, has now scored in 5 of the past 6. He's had at least 100 yards from scrimmage in 3 of the past 5 as well. And 3 of the past 5, he's also averaging over 6 yards per carry. Jerry McKinnon's on the IR, but I don't know that he gets his job back. Pacheco, I think next year is going to be, enter the season as a, presumed kind of workhorse back, kind of a old school Andy Reid running back. They're back in the day, you think about sort of Brian Westbrook, again, very different player, obviously, but prior to Kansas City, in Philadelphia, Andy Reid often had sort of one main running back. And then early in his Kansas City run, he had kind of one made running back. Who can ever forget Sharkhandrick West?
Yeah, the great Sharkhandrick West. Yeah, I mean, Pacheco.
But you know what I mean? And it's been a little bit of a committee the last couple of years, but I feel like Pacheco's now the man.
Yep, and they leaned into him at the end of last season as well. And it seems like he's trending towards more being a 3-down type of guy. I think as well, the matchup against Baltimore is somewhat favorable. That's a Baltimore team that, they were excellent against the run against Houston, but for most of the season, they haven't been super efficient as a run defense. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Isaiah Pacheco next week.
Yeah. The only way to put a bow on this game is, of course, unfortunately, to mention kickers. And kickers drink free here at the happy hour bar today.
Kickers and the people that love them.
Yes, and if any of those out there that root for them,
related to them,
yes.
Married to them,
write about them,
anything
you need.
Yeah, Denny Carter reporting one out for you as well. Have relations with them. Yeah.
What's so funny about this?
Dog sit for them.
He missed the kick, and of course that's what gets talked about. Does anybody in the world think Mahomes wasn't going down the field and getting 3 points?
That's the thing. They lost that game when Allen didn't hit the touchdown
When he trotted out there to kick the ball, it didn't matter going in or not. The game was over.
Mahomes is going to score. They would have needed a fluke moment to be able to win that game. They lost that game on 2nd and 3rd down.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.